obviously not. The Artistic Director of St. Anne's Warehouse, and I'd like to welcome you to this Amex cardholder night. So thank you very much, and we are very appreciative of the sponsorship. So you're actually the only audience that's going to get this treat, so it's really exciting. And as if they haven't given enough, I just thought we'd invite these three incredible actors out to give some more. So I want to introduce Gillian Anderson. And Ben Foster. So we'll get started.
Who is she? You did?
Yeah. Why don't you get closer? Maybe you'll be able to hear something.
Just want to shoot a picture. Take care.
You're forgiven.
Anyway, so we'll get started. We'll talk a little bit about the production and give them a chance to speak about their experiences. We'll talk a little bit about the play, and then we'll open it up to a few questions at the end. Okay. So, just a little background. I saw the show about 2 years ago in London at the Young Vic Theatre. I'm very grateful to the Young Vic because we basically brought their entire production here. And I think you'll agree it's a very incredible, beautiful production. It was a lot to transform our space to accept this incredible revolve, but there's just something so unusual for me when I saw the play in that, usually it's about one of the characters, and particularly Blanche. And I felt like this particular production was really about a family. And you really feel the ensemble of these three actors and Mitch and also the whole community pulling together to try to, I guess, survive in a certain way. So I just want to ask you all how it was for you in the development of this piece when you first met with Benedict and he started to describe how he was going to do the show and how much you participated in that and what it was like.
When I've been wanting to do this play for decades, and when I had seen Vanessa knew, and I had worked together a few years ago, and I had gone to see Three Sisters that she was in, that Benedict had directed, and I had also seen a play called Gross and Klein that he did with Kate Blanchett in London, and I was blown away by him as a director, and I think it was New that gave me his email address when I mentioned that
That's my nickname, by the way.
And so I emailed him and asked him if he would be interested in doing it, and he said he would be interested. We had a Skype call or two, and then it was down to finding a theatre in London. And one of the first things I had said to him was that my vision of it had always been that it would be in the round. And I had assumed that because I'd asked him if he would be a part of it, and he eventually said yes in the incarnation that we had it eventually at in the Young Vic, that was a given based on the fact that I had said that that's how I would like to do it, which is not the case at all. He went away and basically looked at it from every single conceivable way of mounting it. And he joked when we first came back together again that he envisioned it. They built models. They built many models, contemporarily in the past on the moon, wherever, and came back to or came to himself the idea that it would be best done in the round, completely separate from what I had envisioned. And so I'm glad that he agreed with me. I'm glad that it just, yeah, I'm glad that it came back to that. But it was, yeah. That's all I said. Oh, you know?
It's not even on. Is it?
Hello? Oh. What was the question? Oh.
Just mainly the whole idea of the revolve coming together and how that concept came to you all as a cast. And how, I mean, you obviously take it for granted by now that you're moving, you're doing this whole play and moving with this revolve, but for us, I think, as an audience, it's really fascinating that you're moving, it's moving, and it keeps changing the perspective. So I just thought maybe you'd like to talk about what it's like for you on stage.
You kind of stop noticing it. I think we always had it built in the rehearsal room, and so the beginning it makes you a bit queasy and sort of you got off it, you felt like, but then actually the one thing that changed, it's quite odd it moving without you noticing, because suddenly there's a different audience back behind you. You know, it's like because you can't see your like dad or whatever. So, that's like really cool. But always a class, I'm telling you. You can hear him with his real laugh. Anyway, but that. Yeah, then I stopped noticing. I didn't notice it goes anymore, actually.
Well, we had it from the first day of rehearsal. We in London, but we literally had it from day one of rehearsal, which is so unusual. But we were rehearsing in a space called the Jewelwood Space, and they had the facilities to be able to build it there, and so that made it possible for us to get used to it in time, I think.
I mean, it's meant to represent her mental state, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, and it started at different times at the beginning. It wasn't always on her first drink, on Blanche's first drink, but it came to that.
It revolves.
I mean, it also adds a certain languidness to the drunkenness. Actually,
I think also he wanted to. I always ask people who see it, you know, is it annoying something the sphincter is blocking a really good moment or whatever? And I think everyone has different opinions, and I have no idea what it's like from an outside perspective. But I think what Bennett wanted was that this kind of idea of shifting perspective, that you see things through lots of different lenses and proximities, and you're in your own family, and yet you can be clouded by years of, you know, I mean, denial or illusions or whatever, projection, and so that kind of, no matter where you sit, if you come every night, you have a different perspective, and you see different people from a different character's point of view. Maybe you see Stella as she reacts to this, maybe you see Blanche, and so you're more on her side in that moment, and the idea is that we all have different experiences of our own selves, and the others that we're closest to, as do they all, and Stella in particular, I think it's an incredible denial, and that kind of, to each one of the links in different ways with that concept.
And at the Young Vic, it was actually somehow even more of a round. There was more, there were more seats on that side, but I had friends who saw it a few different times and said that it was a completely different experience, 3 seats over from where they had seen it before. And then also seeing the empty live version of it, which is the only time. Well, did you ever see that one? Did you ever see it? Neil and I went to see it and almost jumped ship right before. But seeing that and seeing the filmmaker's perspective of it too, and how they were able to not just that you could feel the revolve through their 5 cameras as well, but they were artistic perspectives of that would be similar to how an audience would see things through coffee pots, etc. Were they in an audience?
So this might be a silly question, but you're performing an iconic play, and you're playing iconic characters. but obviously, I mean, do you experience yourselves or feel any responsibility or even connected to that idea that you're playing iconic characters? Or that you're part of a long tradition? Is it just you? Then?
It revolves. You don't beat this play. You can't beat it. You can't master it. You climb it every night. It was a sea change when it came out. A style of acting happened. It broke through. It was a powder keg. In the play and in the film, Benedict's vision and Gillian's vision created a cinematic, theatrical experience and a timeless piece is, I think, what Benedict was after. So yes, there's a long shadow of icons that is built into the iconography of the piece, but if we return to the words, they're perfect words. It's perfect play. You can't master this. You can, as I said, climb it. So then you can only give yourself to it rather than serve those that came before you. The text is perfect.
And it's different every single. I mean, there are some nights when I feel like I personally have sucked, and friends have said, "Oh my God," and or nights when I feel like I've finally got things. I finally got things, and that meant that I would then forever have that. But it changes. So it really feels like you are riding a runaway train, that you are on a runaway train. And the only thing to do is to stay on and hold on for dear life. And there's some nights, days when it feels like it is such a burden, like the weight on your shoulders. And some days where it feels like you're riding a wave, like a sweet spot of a wave. It can change scene to scene. It can change minute to minute. It's the most confounding and extraordinary thing I've ever had an opportunity to work on. Thanks, Tennessee.
So this is another funny question, because people are often, when they talk about the play, right, they say, oh yeah, Tennessee is Blanche. Blanche is Tennessee. Or they'll say, no, Tennessee's Stella. You know, oh no, he's really Stanley. So, who is he?
I think in the back of the play, the published edition, in our scripts as well, he's written like a Q&A with himself, and that answers those questions so much better than I ever could. He kind of asks, but yeah, writes really beautiful questions, almost about to his highest artistic self, that I'm not sure he can even explain why the work came out of him. One thing that always stuck with me, because it is a really hard play, and emotionally it's difficult, it's hard to leave it at the door sometimes. And we found that in London and less so here, maybe because we know what we're doing more. I mean, at least we know what we're going into. But Arthur Miller wrote as well in the beginning of that edition that Streetcar is a cry of pain, and to forget that is to forget the play. And so that's what it encapsulates for me. It's this kind of deep cry of grief and pain. And whether or not, I'm not sure, I don't think anyone will ever know where exactly it's come from his. But it feels like a very human experience, and I feel like no matter what, you can identify with, you know, I have a sister, and so it feels very special to me in that sense, if I was going to send my sister off somewhere like that. And, but yeah, that was something else, really.
Well, his plays were very autobiographical in varying degrees, and he was also a self-professed alcoholic, and he was incredibly, from what I've read, emotional and larger than life, and almost every word he uttered in every interview and every letter and every play is poetic beyond most things that most poets ever write in their lifetime. He just was this extraordinary mind, and also experienced a good deal of trauma and pain in his life, and it's a beautiful thing when it gets to be manifest in this way. But it wouldn't surprise me if he were to confess that he was more like Blanche than any other character that he'd written before. But I think his fantasy, his fantasy life was on the page and not necessarily in his relationships. I mean, he lived a double life, but I don't know if he was as fantastical as Blanche is, but it maybe manifested in different ways.
I'm going to open up to you all.
Do you have a pre-show thing that you do? Is it more physical or emotional or mental? Is it like meditating, or is it like rubbing a Chewbacca doll, or what is it? I mean, what is that?
Do you rub a Chewbacca doll? That's you not
Collecting a fair amount of adjustment. I listen to music. That's just, I have to do it. I can't not do that. That's something I always do personally. Really loud before I go on, so I can't hear the audience. I've got a playlist of Stella's music and things that Benedict gave me, and other things that make me feel like her. So that's what I do. That I can't not hear.
It's such a physical play, and we all have to live in our bodies. How long is it? 3 hours and 20 minutes? So there's a certain amount of just warming up your limbs, just making sure that everything's still attached from the previous night. But it depends on the day. At its best, we're casting a spell together, and the audience is part of that. We're all tuning in. I suppose everybody has a way of focusing or meditating or paying attention. For me, prep, I don't even know how to prep. Doing this play, this is all I do. I'm here very early. I like being in the theater. I live in New York. I mean, I'm a New Yorker, but while I'm doing this play, I'd rather be here than in my apartment or living life. It takes over. So the rituals change. They adjust, but just touching the floor. Feeling the space that we live in is important. But right before going on, it's listening to breath.
I mean, there's a ritual of the order of makeup or the things that I apply on Blanche and the getting dressed and what are you asking?
Try not to trip over the rubbish I've left all over the floor. You show a dressing room and it's a bit of a bomb sign.
On your side. But that's another story. And the usual physical and vocal warm-ups, we do it together. We do a fight call at a particular time where we rehearse the violence in the play, some of it. And then there's certain things that I do just right before my first entrance that help to get from the dressing room onto Illusion Fields, but that's none of your business.
Bringing the play over from London to here, is there anything that you actors have noticed have popped differently? Moments here in Brooklyn, or moments that you've been surprised that audiences have reacted to differently versus in London?
Every single night.
And we worked on it quite a lot. I mean, we had a week of rehearsal, and then we were in a week of tech, and initially looking at that, it sounded like that was nothing at all, but actually in that nothing was a huge amount of retooling and reworking and readdressing moments, and Benedict leading us into re-exploration and further digging to truth and trying different rhythms, and and we were really muscular during that period of time, and the first night that we played, we might as well have been doing a sitcom. The audience was unbelievable. We were looking at each other in the intermission like, are you fucking kidding me? Is this how it's gonna be? But it was, but every night it's completely different. But some things don't work here. There are some things in the scene with Corey and I behind the curtain, the foreplay that just don't. That we got laughs all the time, and we don't get any laughs. I don't know.
There are more like there used to be a loud audience here. Am I right in saying that? I don't know what that means.
The first few days sitting in that bathtub, the amount of conversations that were going on between people. And the bathtub curtain. And
You also said that people squirm more at the sex bit.
Yes, they do.
Why is that? Isn't it weird?
No. It's not that they squirm more. In London, because people are British, majoritively, seeing the show, they're forcing themselves to watch the scene on the fire escape. Here, the American audience is watching that. That's the difference.
People eat things up then.
What?
I'll tell you that.
Obviously live theater lends itself to a lot of unpredictability a lot of times. I wonder with, a revolving theater, have there been any crazy moments that you care to share?
So many. The worst one until we were involved was Benedict had come back in the middle of the London run and decided for some reason that he wanted the revolve to roll the other way. So then I come on with the birthday cake. When I got the birthday cake, the revolve was coming towards me instead of away from me. Now, I've been doing this for weeks, so my spatial awareness wasn't good anyway. It was like carefully, sort of in a real rhythm, in a real, I just wasn't. Anyway, so as I was walking towards the revolve was coming towards me at real fast velocity. And by mistake, I got my foot stuck under it. And I kicked my foot out. And so I was moving with the revolve. And I was thinking, did you remember this? I remember this. And it was moving so fast that I couldn't get my foot out. And I had a birthday cake and the fucking flowers. I fell on the floor flat. And I was crawling like some kind of insect. And I was like, the cake had gone. Flowers were everywhere. You must remember this. And it got so bad, and the music was still going. It was that Wicked Game song, and the whole audience was staring at me. Stuck in this revolt. And then the stage manager, who's incredible, was right at the top, and I had to go, Frankie! This accent, breaking all. Anyway, nothing happened, and the revolt kept going eventually, and I just yanked my foot out like that. And I was like, okay, do we stop the show? Because my pride is just gone, my integrity, everything's gone. The pregnancy part, I had to scrape the cake off. Scrape the cake and the flowers, come in and then start the scene. And I was like, nothing stopped, we can carry on. And anyway, the whole audience must have been like, oh, I don't know what, crawling like some kind of weird, sort of half alive crab. Anyway, so that was a good one.
On our first preview, we had to stop there was real glass that had broken. For the first time ever in our entire London run, there was no glass broken. All the glass was on here was counted glass. But then, on our very first preview, a glass broke, and so we had to stop the revolve at what moment?
Stella.
the floor.
I took her march around. I went underpants march around.
Was there a plate?
And then we lost it. We actually all started cracking up on the first one. Oh yeah, the phone. During the birthday party, see, the same night, he reaches for the phone and it flies out of his hand. And he says, "Excuse me, could you hand that to me?" We completely lost it. We just completely lost it. Yeah, those things happen.
You would do just the same thing.
I cut my knee open in London
Yeah.
on a piece of plate, yeah.
Plate got stuck on the road during NT Live, and during our scene, it was like, because you smashed the plate that got onto your head, it was like, I was like, baby, hey baby, there's something in our house.
Are you aware?
Who are you?
Are you aware that there's actually a line in the stage manager's report that says what is stuck? It's called stuck under the revolve.
Oh, really?
Yes. So there's
So they
a
know
report.
what to look for
So
every
there's
night?
a report every night about what might have gotten stuck under the revolve.
Preferably not foot.
Somebody in there. Stripes.
I'm curious, what's in the whiskey bottles? Is it iced tea? Or is
Bourbon.
For a while it was watered down Coke. No, what was it? Oh no, it was water with toxic food coloring. And now it's decaf tea or yeah, something like that.
Let's take one more.
First of all, beautiful work from all three of you guys and the whole cast. But I had a question particularly for the sisters. Stella has a lot of darkness, lives through a lot of darkness. She inhabits the dark, and she balances it with this kind of childlike, fanciful nature. And then Stella is this other part of the light. What was kind of some of the process to bring that light and that dark and that balance? I wouldn't necessarily say you guys are polar opposites, but what was that interplay like? Did that question make sense? It may not have.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think that they are two sides of the same coin. I think the same darkness is there. But they grew up they grew up in the same household but had different experiences and handle the darkness in different ways. And a few more things happened to Blanche, the death of her beloved, and then, taking care of so many family members that died in misery, etc., etc. But I think that Stella's, well, I'll let you speak about it.
I remember reading Kazan saying that Stella would have been larger, not understanding. That kind of, finding the differences between them was